Can you use your BAH to buy a house in Maryland? Well, your BAH has no use restriction, so absolutely, and here's how. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Kelly's Corner of Real Estate. My name is Kelly Wise. I am a licensed real estate agent in the state of Maryland. What is BAH? For those of you that are civilians, this term may be new to you. It's a non-tax basic allowance for housing that's given to active service members so that they can keep up with the cost of living outside of base or off post. It's calculated on three things: location, pay grade, and dependence. Any service member with a permanent station is eligible to receive a BAH. If the service member is serving overseas, they're still eligible, but at a dependent rate. How do you use your BAH for a home loan? Well, a lender is going to look at many factors when trying to pre-approve you for a home loan. Two of the biggest factors they look at are your gross pay and your debt to income ratio. Now, if you're looking at your LES statement and you're looking at your gross pay, you might be thinking, I'm not sure this gross pay is going to afford me the home that I want. This is what's special about using your BAH on a VA loan. The lender can actually take your BAH and gross it up 25% because it is non-tax income. Great news, right? Now that they have grossed up your income, and remember, it's only the BAH that gets grossed up, not your total gross pay. Now that they have done this, your income is higher, which then lowers your DTI and will qualify you for a larger loan amount. Here's an example of how that will work utilizing just your BAH. Let's say you have a car payment of $500 a month and your BAH is $1,150 a month. That gives you a DTI of 43%. Now, it's best that you have a DTI of 41% or less when utilizing a VA loan. Otherwise, there are other hoops that you might have to jump through. Now, let's go back to that example, except we will have increased the $1,150 BAH by 25%, which now gives you $1,437. The lender will utilize this amount in the DTI calculation, changing your DTI from 41% down to 35%. Now that's a big difference, right? As part of a VA loan, you must have residual money left over for expenses. This is calculated by taking your net income minus your expenses. The net income will include that new mortgage payment as well as a calculation for utility costs. This is calculated normally about 14 cents times the square footage of the home that you are planning to buy. Now, remember, we grossed up that BAH. That will not be used to calculate your residual income. I've placed a link in the description down below that is a residual income calculator. Feel free to use it or contact a lender to find out what amount you actually need for residual income when using a VA home loan. By the way, did you hit that like and subscribe button? If you answered no, why not? Should you use your BAH to buy a home? As an active duty service member, there are certainly a lot of things you should think about before taking the plunge to buy a home. Here in Maryland, rents are outpacing the cost of a monthly mortgage, meaning you may be able to rent an apartment near Fort Meade for about $2,300 to $2,400 a month. However, you may be able to buy a home with a backyard for about $1,800 a month. That's a huge cost savings. Unless you're nearing retirement, another thing you want to think about is that you most likely will be PCSing again. This means you need to have an understanding of where the market is and whether or not you plan to keep that home or sell it when you get those orders. Now, if you're renting, you can just hand over your orders and break your lease. but you can't do that if you own the home. Lastly, you should think of a long-term strategy for that property. Start by asking yourself a few questions, like, am I a person that wants to be close to friends and family? If the answer is yes, and this home is 10 states away from friends and family, it might not be a good idea to buy that home. You also want to think about, when will you be PCSing next? Now, luckily in Maryland, we have a ton of bases, so you may have your permanent duty station at Fort Meade and then get transferred to, say, Aberdeen Proving Ground or Andrews Air Force Base or one of the many others. If this is the case, and I know you don't always know where you're going to PCS to, but if this is the case and you find out early enough, you may be stationed in Maryland for 4 years or more, in which case it makes sense to buy a home. Another thing that you want to think about is if you really like the area and can see yourself retiring in it, because you may buy the home while you are stationed there, PCS somewhere else, you can rent it out, and then when you do retire, you have a family home to move back into. If this is part of your long-term strategy, you also want to make sure that the home is big enough for you and a growing family. Next, you want to think about, do I want to be a landlord from afar? Meaning, once you do PCS, you can rent out the property, but do you want to be a landlord from 5 or 6 states away, or even overseas? Or do you want to get a property management company? Now, the positives of renting out the home are that you will gain passive income. The negatives are that you are not near the home to control what happens and see how the tenants are treating your home. In a nutshell, that is how you use your BAH to purchase a home. Hopefully, it'll cover the entire mortgage payment. If you want to know more about using a VA loan, check out this video here. Thank you again for watching. My name is Kelly Wise. I am a licensed real estate agent based in Gambrills, Maryland. And if you remember to subscribe, I'll see you next weekend. Bye.